Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of English Podcast with Nana. I'm your host, Nana, and today we have a very special guest with us. Joining us is Jessica, a former flight attendant with 7 years of experience in the aviation industry. Jessica is here to share her insights on what it takes to pursue a career as a flight attendant. If your dream is to become a flight attendant, stay tuned. Welcome, Jessica.
Hi, Nana. Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here and share my story with your listeners.
We're thrilled to have you, Jessica. Let's dive right in. Can you start by telling us how you became a flight attendant?
Absolutely. After I graduated, I immediately started applying for flight attendant positions because it was my dream job. My first attempt was with an airline in the Middle East, but I got rejected due to having scars. While waiting for other airlines to recruit, I decided to work in a corporate job in marketing to improve my skills and gain more experience. Then another airline opened up, and I applied again, but I couldn't pass the arm reach test, which required reaching 212 centimeters, and I was only 158 centimeters tall. Despite the setbacks, I didn't give up. I practiced yoga to become more flexible and kept applying. Eventually, I succeeded with an Asian airline, and at that point, I quit my corporate job to pursue my dream full-time. It was a long and challenging journey, but persistence paid off.
Wow, that's impressive. Can you share more about the scars? Is it true that you cannot have any scars at all?
Well, for some airlines, especially those in the Middle East, they are very serious about skin condition. They will check your skin closely, even putting a spotlight on your face to see if you have any flaws. Unfortunately, during my teenage years, I had a lot of breakouts that left scars which couldn't be covered up at the time. It takes years for them to fade away. If you have any scars, you need to declare them to the airline. They will check them and ask about the treatment duration and what the doctor has said, even for scars on your hands or arms. So, Middle Eastern airlines are pretty strict about this, but some other airlines might not be as concerned.
I never knew that they would put a spotlight on your face like that. That's interesting information. And what about the height requirement? I think your height is good enough to apply. How tall do you need to be?
That's a good question. Some airlines don't have a specific height requirement, but they do have an arm reach test that you need to pass. For example, an airline might not require a certain height, but you need to be able to reach 208 centimeters, or sometimes 212 centimeters. Some airlines do specify a minimum height, like at least 160 centimeters to apply. It's important to research each airline's requirements and prepare accordingly. For instance, I did yoga to become more flexible so I could improve my reach.
Now about weight. If I'm overweight, can I still apply?
You can definitely apply. Some airlines don't focus on weight, but rather on the arm reach test and overall appearance. If they see that you look healthy, vigorous, and active, you should be fine. However, some airlines do have strict BMI standards, so I suggest you stay fit and healthy.
To make sure you don't miss any of our fun and informative episodes, why not hit that subscribe button? That way, you'll get notified whenever a new episode drops.
Great idea, Nana. I'm definitely subscribing to crack open more English skills with you.
Do they only accept people who have graduated from college?
I would say mostly, but not always. From what I've seen, you should have finished at least high school. It really depends on their requirements. Some might accept high school graduates, and for those that do, they may also require previous experience as cabin crew if you don't have a degree.
What degree should I have? Hotel and tourism management or aviation?
This job is very open to any kind of degree you've pursued. It doesn't matter whether you studied law, accounting, or arts.
That's good. Next question. Do you really have to have customer experience before applying?
Not necessarily, but it can be beneficial. If you have experience in fields like accounting or teaching, you can adapt those skills to the role of a flight attendant. Even if you're a recent graduate, try to showcase skills from your college experiences that are relevant to the job. For example, coming from a marketing background during interviews, I highlighted my communication and customer service skills gained from interacting with clients and teammates. You don't necessarily need to come from the hospitality industry. Any job can provide skills that are applicable. Also, for those who are currently studying and aspiring to become flight attendants, getting a part-time job to gain some experience can be very beneficial when applying.
If I'm a nurse, can I apply?
Absolutely. Airlines often value candidates with a healthcare background like nursing because not only can you provide care to passengers, but your medical expertise can be extremely beneficial in handling emergencies or illnesses on board.
I don't know how to swim. Can I apply?
Yes, you can still apply. However, not every airline requires swimming skills. Some airlines do have a swimming test where you need to swim 50 meters and be able to float vertically for 2 minutes. When I got my job, I didn't know how to swim either, so I applied to airlines that didn't require it.
Next question. Do I have to speak a second or third language?
No, you don't. It really depends on the airline's requirements. However, you must have a good command of English and pass the TOEIC score as required by the airline. Sometimes they also have their own English test on the interview day. Knowing a second or third language is certainly beneficial, though.
Just a quick break before we continue with the question that most everyone is curious about. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. To make sure you don't miss any of our fun and informative episodes, why not hit that subscribe button? That way, you'll get notified whenever a new episode drops.
Great idea, Nana. I'm definitely subscribing to Crack Open More English Skills with you.
Is it true that even if I pass the final interview, I can still be rejected?
Yes, that's correct. Until you receive the date of join, DOJ, you can be rejected at any time. This could happen during the medical examination and the training period, during which many people have been sent home because they couldn't pass the training.
Do I have to move to another country if I get selected?
It depends on where you apply for. If you apply for a job based in your home country, you don't have to relocate. However, if the job is based in a specific country, you will have to move. This will be mentioned in the job description. If you have to move, it means you will have fewer opportunities to see your family if you are based far from home. You also need to consider accommodation expenses. For instance, with most Middle Eastern airlines, all accommodation is provided for free, so you don't have to pay for it. But with some Asian airlines, they might only give you a certain amount for relocation and no monthly allowance. Or the monthly allowance might not be enough, especially if the cost of accommodation in that country is high and rising. You have to weigh the pros and cons carefully and understand what you really want.
That's great advice. How many countries have you visited during your career as a flight attendant?
I've been fortunate enough to visit over 20 countries. Each destination offered a unique experience, and it was one of the most rewarding parts of the job.
Wow, 20 countries! That sounds amazing. Can you share what life was like as a flight attendant?
Life as a flight attendant is exciting, but also demanding. You get to travel to new places, meet people from different cultures, and no 2 days are the same. However, it can be exhausting with long hours and being away from family. The job requires a lot of flexibility and adaptability, but if you love travel and working with people, it's incredibly fulfilling.
That's very encouraging, Jessica. Thank you for sharing your journey and your insights. Do you have any final tips for our listeners who dream of becoming flight attendants?
My main advice is to never give up on your dreams. Prepare thoroughly, understand what each airline looks for, and work on improving any skills you might lack. Be persistent and keep applying even if you face rejections. Most importantly, be yourself and let your personality shine through. And remember, safety is always the top priority for this role, so emphasize any relevant skills or experiences you have. Best of luck to everyone.
Thank you so much, Jessica. Your story and insightful information are truly inspiring and beneficial. I'm sure it will motivate many of our listeners. That's all for today's episode of English Podcast with Nana. Thank you all for tuning in. Don't forget to subscribe and leave a review. Until next time, keep learning and stay inspired.